T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Engines full power. And liftoff of ViaSat-3. Go ViaSat, go Falcon Heavy.
Vehicle is pitching downrange.
M1D chamber pressure is nominal.
We are 30 seconds into flight under the power of 5 million pounds of thrust. Falcon Heavy is headed to space. Now we are throttling down our engines on those side boosters, and that's in preparation for max Q.
Power into telemetry nominal.
Max Q is the moment of peak mechanical stress.
Falcon Heavy is supersonic.
Peak mechanical stress on the vehicle. So we do slow down the vehicle to get through this period of high stress. And once we pass through max Q, we will throttle those engines back up on those side boosters.
Max Q.
And great call out, we have passed through max Q. So we're gonna throttle up those engines again on these side boosters. You can follow along the telemetry on your left hand, on the bottom left hand of your screen. You can see the speed and the altitude of the vehicle. And some incredible views of Falcon Heavy in flight. Now, 2 minutes into flight, we will reduce the thrust on the two side boosters again, and that will be to decrease the forces on the vehicle structure. And that's because the vehicle is now lighter as we're burning through the fuel on the vehicle, but the thrust will remain constant. And wow, that looks amazing on the screen, all three boosters burning bright there.
Falcon Heavy is following a nominal trajectory.
And good call out on trajectory. Now again, we're gonna throttle down the side boosters, and then the next event coming up in about a minute or just under a minute will be BECO, that's booster engine cutoff. That's where we will shut down the engines on the side boosters, and then we will separate the side boosters from the center core. And as a reminder, we are not landing our side boosters or center core today due to performance needed on today's mission. And you can see on your right-hand screen, we do have a view of the separation mechanisms from the center core to the side boosters. And BECO, or booster engine cutoff, is coming up here in a few seconds.
MVAC engine chill has started. Booster engine cutoff.
Side booster separation confirmed. Both side boosters, FTS has safed.
Great views there. We had BECO, booster engine cutoff, and we watched as those side boosters, and you could see them there on your screen, those side boosters falling
Vehicle
away.
is following a nominal trajectory.
Falling away from Falcon Heavy's center core. Awesome views. That's going to wrap it up for the side boosters today. The next event coming up here in about 30 seconds or so is main engine cutoff. That is also called MECO, and that will be on the center core, followed by stage separation and then the startup of our second stage engine.
Main engine cutoff.
Stage separation confirmed. Stage 1 FTS has safed.
MVAC ignition. Acquisition signal, Bermuda.
And we got some great views. We watched MECO as the engines on the center core shut down, stage separation, and now you can see on your screen that the MVAC engine has ignited. Now we are coming up on fairing separation.
Fairing separation confirmed.
And also we're able to see and hear the call out that
Stage 2 is following a nominal trajectory.
That the fairing halves have separated. They are now falling back down to Earth, and we will attempt to recover them using our recovery vessel, Doug. Now what you're looking at on your screen is a view on our second stage, looking aft at our MVAC engine. And our MVAC engine on the second stage is currently in the middle of its first burn. This burn has about a minute and a half left.
You can see in the telemetry in the bottom right corner of the screen, we are now very high above the surface of the Earth, about 34,000 kilometers.
ViaSat-3 separation confirmed.
And there you saw and heard the confirmation of successful deployment of ViaSat-3 from our second stage. Next up on the docket, we have the deployment of Gravity's Gravity Space 1, which is scheduled around the T+ 4 hour and 40-minute mark. So we'll see you back here in about 6 minutes for that deployment.
Hello again. If you're just joining us, we had an on-time liftoff at 8:26 p.m. Eastern Time from Kennedy Space Center's Launch Complex 39A. We've had 3 successful burns of our second stage and successful deployment of the ViaSat-3 payload, and we're now coming up on the deployment of the Gravity Space 1 payload. Gravity Space 1 is a 16U CubeSat and the first commercial CubeSat in geosynchronous orbit. It will be used for Internet of Things, a rendezvous and docking experiment, and orbital slot reservations. And that deployment is coming up here in just about 15 seconds or so. What you're seeing on your screen is a view from the second stage looking forward. So we should be able to see the payload deploy here shortly.
Gravity space separation confirmed.
And there it was. You just saw the Gravity Space 1 spacecraft drift away from Falcon 9's second stage. So next up will be the final milestone of today's mission, the deployment of Astronis' first MicroGEO satellite, which is scheduled for the T+ 4 hour and 46-minute mark. We'll see you back here in about 6 minutes.
Coverage of the ViaSat-3 America's mission. We've had a nominal mission so far, and we're coming up on the last milestone for today's mission, which is the deployment of Astronis' first MicroGEO satellite. In partnership with Astronis' Alaska customer, Pacific Dataport, their first MicroGEO satellite is going to cover Alaska, and it will be the first satellite ever dedicated to a single U.S. state. In addition to this payload, Astronis is launching 4 additional satellites later this year with SpaceX on a dedicated Falcon 9 mission, so stay tuned for that. Deployment should be coming up here in just about 30 seconds or so.
Astronis separation confirmed.
And there you saw and heard confirmation of successful deployment of the MicroGEO payload from our second stage. With confirmation of successful deployment of our last payload on board the second stage, that will wrap up our coverage for the ViaSat-3 America's mission. We'd like to thank Viasat for entrusting us with today's mission. We'd also like to thank the range and the FAA for licensing today's launch. And of course, we'd like to thank all of our viewers for tuning in. If you're interested in more launch content, head over to our website and social media platforms for updates on our next missions and milestones. Hope you all enjoy the week, and we will see you soon.